Hello, welcome back to the channel. We're here today with another video. Um, Today, I believe it's video 7 of we're still in the finance and money series, and obviously, I'm talking a lot about. I'm starting a lot with this series because it's just kind of beginning of the year is something that a lot of people have resolutions about and around. And so obviously we have different other series I'm going to be bringing on, like as I announced in the outline of the majority of things we're going to talk about. We're going to have some money series. We're going to have relationship series. We're going to have personal development and career development series. We're going to have actually economics and maybe politics. I don't want to get too much into that, but we'll see. Uh, Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. Um so and then we're also gonna have definitely at some point we're gonna have some spiritual and spiritual series and faith and things like that uh with that side of things that becomes a little bit deeper in the discussions. um Obviously we're gonna have also some a little bit deeper discussions when we get into psychological stuff down the road. And we're gonna also have entertainment series. We're going to talk about various things. We're going to talk about cars. We're going to talk about music, some of the things that are in the background, and obviously on top of that, we're going to have some vlogging sometimes. So all those things are coming down the road in the pipeline. We're going to have some, on the spot blogging. I'm going to record something interesting if I feel like when I'm out and about. I'm going to document, excuse me, some other things that I think might be beneficial to your channel. And so obviously, the previous videos, I wanted to do it just to have a disclaimer for my past and future videos about the fact that everything here is obviously voluntary. There's nothing that I say that anyone should has to do or follow. Obviously, you know, everybody does what they want to do. People are always going to do what they want to do. People are going to make time for what they want to do, and but if it brings value in a certain way, feel free to to share. And if you benefit from anything, share with anyone, share the video, share with your friends. And also the good old, if you like this video or if you like my previous videos, subscribe to the channel, which would be for me something that is important to the fact that I'm going to be posting more videos, so you're not going to miss them if you subscribe. If you feel like you get some value, therefore you subscribe to the channel. And the most appropriate thing that I think would be beneficial that I really like to see is people commenting, saying things, input. I like to discuss and talk about, I like to, obviously you know me by now. I'm a thought leader. I like to throw thought provoking subjects and discuss and talk about things. And I can be superficial. I can also be very get into the spiritual and very deep in the conversations because, again, like you can see the back there, there's a few of them that in my head, but I don't know if I read all of them. But and I have quite a good repertoire on my phone as well with my Audible, no commercial. About 100 other books on my phone, things like that. Not to brag or anything. It's just something that I've been into for over a decade. So that's why actually I decided to do this because I don't own everything that I say here. I learned some on the way on the experiences in life and things that I read and researched as well. And so that's why I decided to find it. Hey, you know what? And I've been speaking to myself for a long time too, like the mirror in a house. So I decided, hey, why don't you talk to YouTube and share it? I think maybe that would be beneficial instead of talking to yourself uh, in front of the mirror, you know, discussing ideas by yourself. But anyway, that's the main reason why I started this like this. So 4 minutes into it, and I haven't gotten to the subject yet. Anyway, um, today we're gonna talk about debt. Whew, the good old debt, right? Everybody lives with it in America. Most people, or 80% of Americans, live great paycheck to paycheck. Therefore, I think that's the origin of debt is because of that. And the paycheck to paycheck, obviously, when people work here and they spend it all here, and claiming to the fact that they don't make enough, and that's what you hear. Is that the truth? I'm not here to make a decision if what they say is valid or not. That's what you hear. People live paycheck to paycheck, therefore they need to get in debt. And that leads us to where do debt come from? And I think I don't need to define debt. Everybody understand what debt is. You know, you owe money, you borrow, whether it's a car loan or a home loan or a student loan or a revolving credit loan. And the revolving can be a general credit card or it can be a department store credit card. And yeah, a lot of people get in trouble with that. So people end up with a lot of debt, right? And I'm not judging anyone again. Obviously, guys, people want to leave, right? Nobody wants to be left behind. Like I always felt like people just want to feel like they're succeeding. Therefore, whether what they're doing is right or it's the decision they make is correct or incorrect, people just want to feel like they're making it, right? They want the necessities. I get it. People get in debt. And the way it gets over the head is because over time, one thing I talked about in one of the videos was talking about budgeting. Most people don't track anything. You know, one credit card max out, you could get another one. You still have a good credit. While that lasts, your score is too good for you to get more. And so you get in it and you just keep getting it. So we got to talk about that. That's how people get in debt. And therefore, but we want to talk about the next thing is there a good debt or is there a bad debt? I talked about a different kind of debt a few seconds ago. But is there a good debt or is there a bad debt? Well, let's start with a good part. There could be a good side to that from a personal perspective. I'm not going to talk about business here. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the balance sheets and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking. That's I don't know if we're ever going to talk about it, but that's the work stuff. Um, and so personal debt. Is there a good one? Well, you can look at mortgage. Everybody kind of get into that, and down the road, the house gets some value, and you can get some equity. Yeah, I mean, you can think about good debt if you manage that well. Um, Other kinds of debt that I think are beneficial, to be honest, the ones that I really that I can think of that is good debt is just the one that will get you a return. Other than that, I'm not gonna say it's a bad debt, but it's just a leaving debt. Like you need that debt to leave, but you would not want to have that debt if you had a choice, right? You can just leave on cash and use a credit card if you not because you had to, but use a credit card because you want to. And that's a different position to be in. And therefore, the best way to live with either revolving or store card is because you want to. It's not because you have to. And again, obviously, it's because whatever you pay on credit should already be able to be afforded on debit. That's how you can afford the debt. You just choose the credit card because again, I talked about building credit score. It's because you want to build a good credit. That's why you choose to use your credit because you could have paid debit. And so that's different. When you're forced to pay with a credit card and you cannot pay it off or you cannot pay at least 80 to 90% of it within that month, that's when you start getting into the bad debt that I'm talking about. Um, Student loans, that's really the line for me. I'm walking the line on the student loan part. It's very difficult for me because, again, you have to look at I'm not talking about education. I know people take words out of context. I'm talking about student loans. I'm not trying to assess the value of formal education, university, and college and stuff here. We'll talk about that in another video. I'm talking about student loan. When you have it, is it really a good debt? It could be a good debt when you look down the road, how the return has been for you. It could be a bad debt if you made a bad choice and got a lot of student loan, but what you're making today, the return, the job you ended up with, it's nowhere near what you owe. We're going to talk about that in another video when we talk about education. Like, what is that about? What is that huge system? Ivy Leagues and universities and money we spend to go out and which one is worth it? What field is really worth it if you have to go in debt in hundreds of thousands? Uh, anyway, let's go to the next one. We talked about how people get in debt. You know, life becomes difficult. People choose credit. Da da da. What are you gonna do? People say they don't have a choice. Again, it's about the feedback, but what's the reality of it, right? We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about living with means. We want to talk about spending, consumerism, what you really need, and things that you really want. And that's another origin of debt, bad debt. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is when do you get out? How do you get out? So we are 10 minutes. It's already too long, but very quickly, the number one thing when you realize it start to be problematic, start struggling with it, the number one thing is to assess where you stand. You would not believe how many people in America don't even know how much they owe in debt. And so that's where you start. Sit down and inventory everything, the balances, the credit, the rates, and then how many, when you project, how long, wait a minute, how long is that going to take me to pay this credit card if I pay the minimum? And if I pay twice, if I pay three times, you kind of figure those things out. But you make a plan to get out of debt. You start by figuring out where you stand. And then you make a plan and take the good old action, right? You gotta get to that if it's important. A lot of people don't. And that's the number one step. They don't even know. They just see the cards in their wallets and pockets, but they don't know how much. And overall debt, not just the credit cards. You have to assess total debt that you have. All of it, including personal, like a private purse, whatever. Family members, you have to know all of it. Friends, everything. And when everything is due, and the installments, and when you need to get that done by, and then start working on a plan. We're going to talk a little bit about more about the nitty gritty of maybe like how do you kind of work that, because it's definitely a commitment. See, you have to get fanatic and obsessed to get any goal happen, including getting out of it. If you don't put those two, you're never gonna get out. When I say you, everything I'm saying here also include me. I'm working on all my stuff too. So I'm here just to kind of share the things that we need to do and that we maybe should work in. If that's value to you, again, you do whatever you want to do. You don't have to do anything that I'm saying. So the next thing is, I talked about following through the decision. And the other part I want to talk about real quick was I wanted to talk about getting out of debt in a couple's perspective. Maybe I should talk about that in my relationship series, because when I want to talk about relationships, what's going on with that part. But from a couple's perspective, the funny thing I want to throw out there is most couples, they use credit card here, the partner over here uses credits, they contract debt, they don't even tell it, like they don't, that's the worst. Getting out of debt as a couple is worse than being single and not in a serious relationship, because then when you don't even know where you guys stand as a couple, you don't even know where you're going financially. And usually that when the decision is made, and it's always one person that's even more serious than the other about getting out of that, that's okay, because the couple is always you always have that one that is more into something than the other. But getting out as a couple is very important to reset. And I can guarantee you the stress of a lot of marriage, we're going to talk about that in relationship series, has to do with, there's a lot of, we talk about communication, but the lack of money, hard conversation, loud conversations, and frustrations. Anyway, it was interesting to talk to you guys. I'm going to see you guys and talk about that, and we're going to end this. Obviously, again, for the first time, drop some comments. Subscribe if you don't want to miss the next videos. And I don't know, likes. I'm not sure about the likes, but whatever you want to do. If you want to like, I still appreciate it. But I can't remember the comments. And then you subscribe if you don't want to miss other videos. So anyway, this is the longest video today. And again, I was really excited about talking about these things because, something that I really like to talk about. Just like to have a conversation with people and talk about those things. Because it's really interesting when you want to reset your life and do different things. There's a lot of things that you have to start to do that are very important, I think. So with that said, have a great day. Take care. Again, Happy New Year. We'll see you in January. And much success to everyone. I hope everybody starts fresh and get some value. Take care, guys.